What's going on, friends? Welcome to season 4 of the You Glow Nurse podcast with me, your host, Valen Lopez. Today, I have another wonderful guest, Miss Keilah Ford, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, y'all. I'm so excited to be talking to my new friend today, all about purpose, redefining your purpose, restoring your purpose. Because honestly, there was a time in my life when I did not feel I had purpose. I was walking around here purposeless. I started nursing not in a hope to help others, but more in a hope to just solve my problems, to pay my bills. Like a lot of us may have gotten into nursing. It was a stable job, a stable environment. So now that I have grown my relationship with the Lord, I am really investing in my self care and my mental health. I'm doing those things daily to work on me. I now see that there is a purpose in the path. There is a purpose in the pain, in the situations that have come, in the situations that have gone. There is purpose that is unfolding. And it's up to me to take care of myself along the journey, to do the things before me, to steward my time well in this season, and to continue down the path of purpose, trusting my purpose along the way, trusting my process along the way. And that is what season 4 is all about, y'all. And I'm so excited because of all of the wonderful guests that have poured into this podcast, which I thank and I appreciate every single one of you. So get ready for another amazing conversation with my new friend, Miss Keilah Ford. And I'll share a little bit about her background here in a moment. But before we get any further, make sure you like, subscribe, share this podcast with your community, and let's continue to grow and to share this nurse wellness message with other nurses who may be feeling like, okay, I need some purpose in this plan. Where is my purpose? Let's encourage each other in this wellness journey as well. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Go ahead and comment on the podcast as well. I appreciate y'all for joining me along in this nurse wellness journey. All right, let's bring Ms. Keilah Ford out. She is a DNP, FMPC, PMHNP, which all of that means. She is a doctor of nursing practice and a dual board certified psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioner and a family nurse practitioner. She is the owner of Kadds Wellness LLC. It's a mental health clinic, as well as the Kadds Wellness Women's Multivitamin. She has been a nurse for 18 years and a nurse practitioner for 9. She works with children's ages 8 and up, adults, and as well as geriatric patients. She believes in the balance of spiritual, mental, social, physical, and emotional well-being, and will go above and beyond by making sure they all are aligned in their treatment approach with her patients. This sounds like a necessary conversation around wellness, around health and healing, and so I'm super excited to bring her on. Please welcome Ms. Dr. Keilah Ford.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Ms. Keilah, what's going on?
Going, it's a good day.
It's a good day.
Wrap it up.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast with me today. We were able to chat a little bit
Yes.
earlier, and it was really great to just pick your minds, pick your brain, and to learn more about how you're helping your patients, how you're making a difference in the community, how you're breaking stigmas. So I want to know, how has mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness, help you in finding your purpose?
Yes. So, with me, I am such a big fan of mindfulness. That's exactly what I did my dissertation project on, incorporating mindfulness into mental health practice. So, just getting into that present mind state, trying to just not overthink things, overanalyze things, but living in the present. That has really helped me so much because I do have a little anxiety myself, and it has caused a lot of problems with my GI system and different things with food, with eating and different things like that. So just me just trying to figure out where it got to be some other way to get through this. Let's focus on something that I can do that's more holistic, not necessarily taking a lot of different medications. And so that's kind of when I started really diving into mindfulness, meditating, just putting myself in the present state, saying affirmations over myself. Prayer is the most important. Sometimes I just sit and I just thank God for everything and just always ask for purpose and wisdom. So that's my way of doing mindfulness.
I love that. I love that. And we were talking about that earlier. It's something that you're using a lot with your patients now
Yes,
because of the research that you're doing as a doctorate nurse practitioner. And it's refreshing to hear that this practice, it sounds so simple, but it's really getting a lot of highlight nowadays. Like a lot of people are
yes,
talking about mental health and
yes,
journaling and being mindful. So you shared that it means like being in the present state. So
yes.
how exactly like would you describe mindfulness to someone?
So, how I would describe it is, like when you're in a situation where you feel like you're overwhelmed or you're like, oh, what if this is going to happen? Oh my gosh, I should have done this differently. Well, just kind of put yourself in the mind frame like, okay, I'm here. Let me tackle what's going on today. Let me focus on getting through this moment right now. So let me figure this out now, and then I'll just worry about the rest of it as I get to it. And when you continue to practice those thoughts in your mind, it makes the weight feel like it's lifting off of your shoulder.
Mhm.
Because when you kind of overdo, and I do it also, and overthink and overanalyze, and you have to do this, you have to do that, it could become very overwhelming a lot of
Yeah.
the times. So just tackling it, okay, I got this piece today. Let me tackle this. Let me calm myself down right now. Let me get my mind together so I could focus on now, and then I can worry about this later. That, to me, that's what mindfulness is.
Yeah, same. I am definitely an overthinker, and
Yes,
it's
I'm like that
triggering.
too.
It's triggering to say that and when I say triggering, it's like I've been kind of fed these messages that overthinking is like a terrible thing, like you doing too much. And now we getting into my journal. Now we getting into my therapy session because that's something that I deal with. Like the thoughts of you're doing too much, you're
Yes,
being too emotional, you're not doing enough. Those are the thoughts that get me very like preoccupied with
yes,
tomorrow, preoccupied with the past, that I cannot focus on the present. So I
yes,
think it's such
yes.
a powerful tool
And it's
to
okay. And not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but it's okay to plan things. And, don't get me wrong, but, you can pre plan, I would say that. But if all the steps don't align like you want, that's the sometimes people like, oh my gosh, and they unravel.
yeah. Oh,
So
that's a good part.
yeah. So just
That's a good
taking it step by step, that's the
point.
way.
Yeah, because that's something that I do as a coach. I'm like, let's plan our weeks, let's plan our months, but it's not like being so gung ho. Like,
Yes,
it
yes,
has to be this way,
yes.
tackling it at one piece at a
At a
time.
time. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, just
Something that helps me. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just saying not eating the whole pie at once, but eating pieces of the pie to get
Yeah.
until it's all gone.
Or I like the one about the elephant. Like, how do you eat an elephant one piece at a time? I never got
Oh,
that one. I never got that one. I was like, well, why would I want to eat an elephant? So
I know that's a lot to eat.
I like your analogy better. Well, let's go back to the pie. Yeah. I like to when it's a stressful time for me, I like to even on my like it's not overcomplicated to do this mindfulness, right? Like some
Yes.
people think that it could be like I don't have time to be mindful. Fallon, like what do you mean get mindful? What do you mean, take a break? Like I don't
Hmm.
have time for that. So one way that I've snuck in some mindfulness moments throughout my day is when I go to the restroom. Instead of
Oh yeah.
rushing,
Okay.
instead of like rushing out of there and like, oh my God, I gotta go, I kind of like take a moment, breathe, bring my thoughts back,
Hmm.
and like have a gratitude moment, have a moment with God. Like, okay,
Oh
Lord,
yeah.
I'm here. Let's do a quick prayer. Thank you, Lord. What am I grateful for? Like,
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a good one. Gratitude talks. That's a
mhm.
good one. That's a good one. Because I have to do that as well. That's something that's a mindfulness thing that I do as well. Like I just have to just take a moment and just step back and really think like I am just so grateful for
Mhm.
just the air I'm breathing now, just being alive, being healthy, to talk, to speak, to walk, all of these things, little things like that. But just embracing that, and then it just, and then that eventually, that more positivity, it just kind of goes outward as you show more gratitude and
Yeah.
be appreciative to the state that you're in presently. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer of that.
That's so true. Like you said, it seems small. Maybe it seems silly. Like, thank you. Like, I'm happy. I can breathe. I can talk. But come on, nurses. We see a lot of
Oh
patients.
yes, we see a lot, and some people don't have that privilege to say I'm doing that. So yeah, so just the little things like that. I think with me, just putting myself in that mind state, like I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm great right now,
Mm,
I'm thankful. It relieves a lot of my anxiety, and that's another form of mindfulness that you can do. Some people might not have time to sit and meditate, and that's okay too. But it's mindfulness is so many things. The main thing is just putting yourself in that present state,
yeah.
embracing your feelings and how you feel in the present.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought up feelings because I'm sure you've seen in your practice a lot of times, feelings, being emotional. Like I was brought up like sharing your feelings is kind of frowned upon.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I feel like now that I'm in therapy, I'm learning about myself now. I'm like feeling all the feels and I'm like, is that okay? Like I'm more in
But
the
that's not a bad thing, because when you're able to really be aware of how you feel and how you think and analyze, this is why I feel this way because of this, it sets you free. You're not so bogged down inside with these emotions. A lot of stress, and then you can, if you kind of look back and look at articles and research, a lot of stress happens when people don't express themselves because they keep so much
Mm,
stuff bottled in. Those feelings and those emotions, it wears down on the body, it wears down on the heart, it wears down on the brain. So, some people just check out strokes, heart attacks. It's all about, that outlet, letting it go, being able to
mm.
analyze and say, okay, I feel this way. So let me let's see what I can do to acknowledge it, to change it, or to embrace it, and just
Mhm.
know it's okay. It's okay.
That is powerful. You have a decision. You have accountability. You have responsibility when it comes to feelings. You don't have to
Yes.
get overwhelmed. Yes, you may feel it. You may have that emotion, fear, anxiety. Um and my therapist gave me like a little feelings words, like little thing, like so I'm trying to name my feelings, anxiety, apathy, just like boredom,
And what
whatever.
is it that you're feeling?
And then, so you're telling me like putting a name on it, identifying is a stress reliever? It can help you?
It can. And just even, and then
And
when
I
you say,
agree
okay,
100%.
I feel this way. So let me figure out why I feel this way.
Wow.
And then you really kind of start getting to the answers like, oh, okay. And like I always say, well, and then people are like, oh, I'm crazy. I get that all the time. I'm so crazy. I'm like, well, who defines that? Like, who wrote
Oh,
everybody's definition of crazy? I mean, if that's the case, hey, who defines
that
that word? Who can, yeah.
we
We all
automatically,
are,
it sounds like
yes.
automatically, yeah, put like this negative thing on, oh, you feeling a certain type of way. You
Why
went
is she
from
like that? Oh my gosh, why is he, but let's talk about why you feel this way. How did you get to this point? Let's see what it could have been, what could have triggered you, and let's address it. So, it's okay to have to feel. Like, when I tell, and I tell people, patients, that all the time when they come to me and they're like, hey, I feel this certain way. And I do, and I'm like, well, and my mom or my dad or my friends, they said I shouldn't feel it. And I'm like, well, how can they really tell you how to feel if they're not in your body? You know how
Mhm.
something made you feel.
Your feelings are your it's like a regulator, right? Like it's like
Yes.
your gas tank, or what did I hear somebody say, like it lets your check engine light.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
it
yeah.
lets you know, like, something happened.
Something I don't know about this, Yeah, of course. So
So it's needed. It's a part of life.
yes.
And different people have different responses to things, and
Hmm.
that's okay.
We are so uniquely and wonderfully made by God, and that's
Mm,
how we are. That's what makes us so perfect in our own way.
yeah.
He's the perfect one, but we're all, I would say we're all different, unique, and perfectly made in our own way. So, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. I agree. That's wonderful. Thank you for breaking down feelings and like identifying them and working
Hmm.
through them. I think it's so important, and it's been really important to my self-care journey, to my wellness journey,
Oh yeah.
just being able to talk about them. Like I totally agree. Like there was something that happened like when I was able to name it. And then, oh, okay, it's because something happened in my childhood.
Oh
Or
yeah.
maybe it's because I'm hungry. Like I'm really hungry. I'm hangry. That's what I say. Like
Hangry. Yeah, it's some chemicals they not doing what they supposed to do in the brain, and that's why you feeling the way you're feeling. That's why.
exactly. Yes. So yeah, and you can better understand yourself. You know what's going on,
Yes.
because I see a lot of people sometimes, um, and this is personally that I've seen. Like feelings can feel overwhelming. Like when it came to rejection, when it
Oh
came
yeah.
to feeling let down, like I never wanted to feel those feelings. I was so afraid. But if I didn't feel it, I couldn't experience. And this is something that I heard in a book, like when you're not able to experience the sadness and you try to like self-medicate, you try to stuff it down, you try to decompartmentalize whatever to not feel that feeling, you're not able to feel the joyful feelings, because it's not like
Yes.
you can just stuff down just the bad feelings. Like you're
Yes.
essentially like shutting down all of the feelings. Like, is that true? Is that something that you've seen in your practice?
Yes. And I do believe in you have to listen to your feelings, like I said before. I want you to laugh when you're supposed to laugh. I want you to cry when you're supposed to cry. I want you to be mad when you're supposed to be mad. But there are boundaries to each feeling.
Mm,
And that's where mental health comes into play. So
yeah.
if it's exaggerated anger, exaggerated, moodiness, exaggerated excitement, then okay, well, maybe let's kind of bring it more neutral, where you can have those type of emotions, but they don't overpower you.
Ooh.
That's when it's time to let's look at it. It might be something more.
Yeah. That's like how you said mental health. Like that's
Yes,
when it comes into play. So I'm
yes.
curious. You speak so highly about this and mindfulness, and then now you're, furthering your practice. You
Hmm.
have a clinic that you're running now. You even
Yes,
created a vitamin, which is amazing because you were even talking about the chemicals in your body affecting your mental health. So I'm just curious, like when we talk about purpose and just redefining and restoring, has there ever been a time in your journey of like 20 plus years in nursing that you maybe felt unsure about your purpose? And how did you navigate that time?
yes, I did. And I floor nursed for a long time, and I thought, okay, let me try. And I did a lot of travel and in float pool. So I think that was my way of trying to find where I fit.
Hmm.
And I never really found where I fit. Like I tried this, I can do it, but it's a paycheck, it's a job, I can make the money, good. But when I think, well, I would say I won't say think I know how I got into the mental health and knew that it was for me when I had my own mental health scare after I had my daughter. And I had just finished the family nurse practitioner program, and I finished it. I was 9 months pregnant. I took boards, and then I was trying to find a job in family nurse practitioner. I couldn't find a job, and I was living in Louisiana then. But then I also, around that time frame after I had her, I went through postpartum, more so anxiety, postpartum anxiety. I didn't even know. I heard of postpartum depression, but I didn't know about the postpartum anxiety. Well, I would have these extreme thoughts of overwhelmness, panic, and I would have thoughts of just kind of feeling like maybe I'm not a good mother. I should, not take care of her, or maybe someone else should take care of her. But everything just kind of had me so on edge. And then my blood pressure was high, high, high. Never had problems with blood pressure. Blood pressure was really high. And it was just a scary time for me. So when I saw my PCP and she put me on Zoloft at the time, and I noticed like about 3 or 4 months, I started to feel like myself.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, I couldn't find a job as a family nurse practitioner. I took a contract on a mental health unit. How ironic is that? Because I couldn't find a job anywhere. Reached out. This job had a mental health assignment to do as a travel nurse, local travel nurse. I was like, oh, loved it, loved it. Just connecting with the patients, just have they could talk to me about anything. They felt comfortable with me. I felt comfortable with them. And then I was just like, then I met a nurse practitioner that was doing rounds, and she was a psych nurse practitioner. I had never heard of psych nurse practitioners before. And I was like, that's a thing. And so I started getting more information, and I said it. I was like, well, I think I'm going to work in family practice for a while, and I'm going to go back to school. And that's how it happened. I ended up moving from Louisiana to Texas. I worked as a family nurse practitioner for about maybe 9 months. And then I got a job as working in geriatric psych as a family nurse practitioner, but I was able to do psych. I say, talk about speaking something up into existence. And it happened before I got certified. And I loved it. And from that moment, I knew, like, just talking to those elderly patients and encouraging them and talking to their families and caring for them. And I just knew, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I would feel like so warm and just fulfilled. And I had never felt that way in my career. And that's when I knew mental health was my thing. And I really started digging deep into it.
Wow. Wow. So you went back for two family nurse. No, you did family nurse practitioner. Then
Mm-hmm.
you did the mental health nurse practitioner. Was
Uh-huh.
that two separate programs
Yes.
or?
Yes. Yes. Two separate programs. Everybody like you going back to school? Like, yes, I am. Because I wanted to get certified. I wanted to just do because they have so many stipulations. You're a family nurse practitioner, but you're not
Yeah.
trained as a psychiatrist, not psychiatrist, but as a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
So, you can, like, in family practice, you can treat depression, anxiety, but when someone has like severe mental illness, they need to see a specialist.
Yeah.
And I wanted to specialize in it because I loved it. That's just that much. Like, loved it. Working in the psychiatric hospitals, doing acute and trauma, and then it was just seeing how they come in their worst and they leave like better. And
Yeah.
so that was just my drive. Like, I have to do this.
Yeah. That's amazing. So was there an additional, so there was a family nurse practitioner, 2 years or 3 years?
The program,
Yeah.
it took me 2.5 years to do that. Yes.
So then did you have to take another 2.5 years for the
Oh, so
mental
because
health?
I did all the core classes
That's what I was
already,
thinking.
it was just a year. So
Mhm.
I waited, of course, and then I did a year because the year was just basically doing all the curriculum classes. And then and then all of the hours I had to do like 560 hours of in psychiatry. So I did a lot of work in a psychiatric hospital with a therapist and with a psychiatrist. And then I had to take another board exam.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And then now you recently graduated with your DNP, your
Yeah.
doctorate in nurse
Yes.
practitioner with a
Yes.
mental health, is it a mental health?
No, so I already had the two certifications. So mine is just Doctor of Nursing Practice, but it's more of the advanced practice role.
Okay.
So with the DNP, you do have two tracks. You can do leadership
Mhm.
role, or you can do the advanced practice role. And and the difference between the two, like if you work in more like administration or educators or
Mm.
things like that, it's still incorporating evidence-based research into your practice, whatever that may be. So, like I know someone that was in leadership track, they did something on eliminating falls in the hospital, eliminating like with the call bells, like noticing how nurses can be more aware, or I guess with the call bells, like to prevent falls, or how
Mm,
educating nurses. So that was, and then they looked at articles and journals and different research that was done, and they incorporated into their facility to see if it actually works. But then with nurse practitioners, you have that track where when you're in practice as a provider and you're taking the same type, whatever research whatever your interest of topic is, you're taking that research that's already done and you're incorporating it into your practice to see if it actually going to help my patients, is going to help other nurse practitioners. So that's the difference between it. But they're both, DNP is, doctor of nursing practice, because it is all it is just taking what's out there and putting it into the nursing practice to
yes.
see how to make it better for nurses and future nurses and etc.
That's awesome because that evidence-based practice,
Yeah.
all of those things that we know that
Uh-huh.
where does it, where does it come from? Like it's
Yeah, it's like,
research.
okay, it's out there. Yes, it's, so but this research is out there. So, well, does it really work? So
Mm,
let's add this to the practice environment and see if it's gonna actually make a difference with patient outcomes or
yeah.
nursing outcomes or etc.
I would be curious, not saying that I'm gonna do a DMP, but like
Maybe
about
you should.
research. Well, you never know, God willing. But I'm definitely inspired. Like you got my wheels turning. So
Because I never thought I would. By the way, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not. I got that psych. I'm not doing this. And then I
wow,
don't know. One day, I was just like, maybe I need to do more.
maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Oh Lord, I
Yeah,
need
I
to do
know.
that.
And
That's
then
awesome.
God started opening up the doors and mapped it out. I always look when I always listen to him when I get a lot of trend, like a lot of resistance. I know maybe it's not the time, but when
Mm.
he started letting things flow, like
Ooh,
boom, you got in this program, boom, you got this, boom, this. I'm like, okay, maybe this is what you want me to do. So that's that.
listen to the opening doors. I like
Yes,
that. I like that because
yes.
some people would be like, "Oh, it's suspicious. It's too easy. Like it's what's going on? I don't know."
Yeah, but when I feel like when it's like that, you just gotta trust it. Because I used to think that too, like, and I still have struggles with that. But it's okay to, life is not
That's
all
real.
you have struggles, but you have some good seasons and sunny sides too.
That's real.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Walking in it. So I'm curious, like about research. When it comes to research, if there is any research related to like nutrition and mental health, like that is something that I'm really interested in.
Oh, I'm sure it's so much out there. So do you know what, Fallon? That's you need to go on and think about it.
You say you already got your dissertation right
Oh
there.
my God, there go your topic.
Seriously, like we're talking about mental health, we're talking about these different things, and that's something that I love, those healthy habits. I love talking about gut health and just making those better choices. And so I've done some research, my personal stuff, that there is a connection, but how often do we put that into practice in the
That's
nursing
true.
community?
That's true. And that's something I think would be awesome, especially for nurses, all
Yeah,
the work and the stress that we do. And, it's so needed taking care of your body, like you say, your
yeah.
gut health. I like with my vitamin, I added the 5-HTP in it because that helps with stress regulation,
Five
different things like
htp
that.
Tell us
Yes.
about, yes, your vitamins. So this lady has her own clinic, running a clinic, taking care of her patients, and then another dynamic pivot in your purpose, which I love. How did you get into creating this product? And what brought you to like, okay, this is something that can help. This is something that is going to extend my purpose. How did you come into that?
Well, to piggyback off of what you said about, like nutrition and supplements with your mental health and wellness,
And even what
I
you
would
went through in your postpartum, like,
I
right?
went through the yes, all, but you look at hormonal shifts,
Yes.
and then the same thing when I got in, like mid to late 30s, I'm almost to leave my 30s, but anyway, I,
No.
I was experiencing a lot of just like, especially around my cycles, just these mood swings, just the drenching like of my sheets, and I couldn't sleep at
Mhm.
night. And then I'm irritable the next day because I'm not resting well. And I was like Googling things, trying this, Googling, and I had so many supplements. I'm like, it gotta be a way to just, it's something. And then it was like one night, I was like in the middle of the night, like maybe I should look into starting my own. I was talking to my husband. I said, you know what? Maybe I should just make my own vitamin. I was saying it as a joke. And then he
Ah,
was like, is that a thing? I said, I don't know, but I'm gonna look it up. And that's when I started looking up stuff. And then I already knew like certain minerals that you need for this. And because I was already researching all that stuff to help myself. And then I found a supplement company. They make, and that you can get supplements made for, if you're building a practice, building like a supplement company or whatever. And I pitched the ideal, and then I kind of told him, and then they kind of gave me some minerals and different things. And then that's kind of how it happened. So yeah, that's that. And then I started taking it, and I noticed, especially around my periods, I'm not as moody. I'm not drenching my sheets. That was the biggest, because when I drench my sheets, I can't sleep. I'm waking up, and once I'm up, I can't go back to sleep. So I'm
mm,
not drenching my sheets. I'm not as moody during my periods. And I say, and then also it has the biotin in it. It has B12 and it B6. So it also helps with that energy component, natural
yeah,
energy. So all of that, I was just like, hey, so I just noticed when I take it, and then versus when I don't take it, I notice a difference.
yeah,
So that's kind of what inspired me to do that. Just kind of, I was like, it got to be something, natural that I can do. I don't want to have to take another medication. I would
yeah.
rather do something natural. And I'm into vitamin supplements anyway.
It's so like it's just I have so many thoughts going through my head because I'm just like it's just crazy how women we
Hmm.
are like the quick fix. We're given the
Yeah.
quick fix when it comes to our womanly time, and if there's anything off with those, like I had irregular bleeding for many many years, and
Oh,
many
wow.
doctors just told me get birth control. And
Mhm.
me, somebody that's kind of like a health and wellness person, I'm kind of like the same thing. I'm like, why am I doing that? What is it gonna, like I'm not sure. Like it wasn't really explained to me, like maybe one of your hormones is off. This is how
Yeah.
does it help? Why are y'all recommending, birth control? So you're kind of left in the dark and you're just like, here you go, try it. There you
Yeah,
go.
try this. Yeah, get this birth control. And then I added the black cohorts to it as well, because that helps with estrogen regulation.
See? And
So
that's the thing.
yeah, so I know that, just anything that could kind of really help us naturally.
Hmm.
Because yeah, that's the first thing they tell you. Take this birth control. Well, I tried that too, to regulate the irritability and the sweats, and I was having terrible migraines, but then my blood pressure started going up.
Yeah.
I just told my doctor, I can't take this, so we're gonna have to try something else. And then
Yeah.
that's when I said, you know what, I'm not taking any of this stuff. Let me try something natural.
Yeah. I love that because through your pain, through the irregularness of what you were
Hmm.
going through in your cycle, through this moment in time when you're like, okay, this is a problem. You were
Hmm.
able to shift in your purpose. Like, okay, because sometimes like we were talking about feelings earlier, the uncomfortable things, the painful things, the stretching, the growing. We don't want to go through those things, but sometimes it's needed to
Needed.
get to that other side. Sometimes I'm learning the things that we're experiencing is because there's a reason. That's something,
Oh,
somebody needs what
yeah.
you have. Like there's a reason
Wow.
you're going through that so that you can help someone else. And when I came into that realization, like, okay, this can help. Like me with my wellness and my self-care, like this can help someone. So
Yes.
it's part
That's
of
a
your
good way
purpose.
to look at that. That's a
It's
really good way
it's part of your
to,
purpose.
to look at that, because like, yeah, you go through things to get you to acknowledge your purpose. So that's, yeah, that's really good.
And for you, Dr. Keela, it was another elevation in your purpose. Like, let me go ahead and create my own vitamin, y'all. Let me go ahead and put this together. So we're definitely going to share that link so that other women that may be interested in adding like a vitamin to their wellness routine, which I definitely recommend, something that's easily absorbed and not a lot of sugar, if I might add. That was something I asked you, if you remember, when I went to your table. I'm like, well, how you know, because a lot of these vitamins have these added sugars. And it's like, well, why is that in my vitamin? Because
Yeah, yes,
it's the
yes,
filler. I want the good stuff. Just give me a capsule. So Dr. Keilah's is in a capsule. The nutrients you need, you don't even taste it, you
mm-mm.
know.
I don't believe in all that sugar, and you have to break. And I didn't want to do a peel because you have to break down and break down and kind of really get to the nutrients. I was like, capsule, it's in there. The
Yeah.
minerals are inside the capsule, so we want to get to the source.
That's amazing. Like, nurses, we can do it all, and it just takes that shifting of your perspective. And I think that's been so important in my journey overall as well. We can choose to be like, oh, woe is me, beat myself up. Or we can, okay, well, this is the problem. What are the answers? How can I find the answers? How can I be a part of the answers? Because there's a reason you're facing this problem. Maybe you don't solve
Yes,
that
yes,
problem, but you learn to reach out to someone. You learn to find answers. You learn to trust other people. If you don't have the answers, but you can find the answers. That's the powerful thing that I'm learning about, if I experience a hard time, if I experience a difficult situation, like I can figure this out. I am
yes,
capable. And that goes back to those mindful moments, getting really mindful in your moment, even in distress, even in a time when you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if this is part of my purpose. For sure.
yes.
For sure.
And we've all been there. And I'm going, sometimes just kind of
I'm
lately I've
sure.
been going through some things. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? But yes,
In your 20 plus years, I'm sure, of nursing service. So I want to know, what are some self care things that you're doing for yourself in this season as a busy entrepreneur, as a practitioner, as a mom, as a wife? I heard you talking about that.
hmm
So, how are you taking care of yourself?
I am going for I got a I get monthly massages.
Yes.
I get monthly facials.
Ooh,
I see an esthetician like faithfully. And those, and then sometime me and my daughter, oh, and then sometime me and my daughter will go get petties. But things like that, it's just pampering myself just makes me happy.
I love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Making that time because you're so busy.
Because yeah, and at one point I didn't make the time, and I
Mm,
just felt like okay, I'm feeling very overwhelmed. I feel like my back against the wall. I feel like I'm letting myself go, and I was like, you know
mhm.
what? No, let me make. This is something I like doing, and I'm gonna get my monthly massages. I'm gonna get my monthly facials, and yes, that's my time to do me. So yes,
Yes. I love that. I love that. Like, I definitely agree, self-care is multifaceted. It's different for everyone. And there's so many different levels to it.
and that's why I do a lot of my mindfulness too. When I'm getting those massages and them facials, I'm just
Ah,
thinking and just reflecting and just so thankful and just embracing the moment. And that's just
instead
my
of
time
thinking
with
about
God.
your to-do list.
Yes. So yeah, that's my time. So I'm like, so I kind of started that back. I stopped for a while with school and everything and
Mm.
was feeling it. And I was like, no,
So you're intentional about the time that you spend on your self-care, the
yes,
actual massages, scheduling it in, how we schedule wake up for work on time. We make sure we're at work, we make sure we're, doing the things to get there, but what about making time for your self-care and not leaving that on the back burner, because
yes.
that's so easy to do, like when you
Yeah, yeah, I do. I love my self-care. I do contouring sometimes and
Mm,
just
contouring.
pamper myself. I love to pamper myself. Like, oh, you're gonna
Yes.
do some contour. You're
Yes.
gonna do, but mostly the natural stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I mean, whatever makes you feel like your best self. That's what self-care is all about. Like whatever that is, if it's taking time out to do the massage, going to spend time with your daughter, like you said, doing the manis, the petties, it's whatever that's needed. I mean, as as we evolve, I even think like our self-care gets, some days you may not have the time to do the pedicures, like you said, the manicures. So when you were in school and stuff, when you were like full-time working, what was the self-care then? Did it look different, a lot different from now? I mean, you weren't doing the massages and all those things, but was there some self-care in that time?
Well, it probably for me, I like to sit out because in my backyard with a glass of red wine. I like that too.
Yes.
That's
Being
that's
outside.
Yeah. I love it's just because it's just listening to nothing.
Mm,
I love that, and just with my glass of wine, and I can just think. And that's what I did a lot while I went because I didn't have the time, but
yeah.
just having that moment, and my husband understood, the kids, they just let me have the moment where I could just sit in quietness and do nothing. And I
Oh,
love, and I just, it's almost like I'm replenishing,
yeah.
because if I'm dealing with all, of what I'm dealing with, all the stressors, and I come home and then it's like, more things that's coming at me, you can easily get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So that was what I did. I'm back doing the things that I have time to do, but that's kind of was my time to just, and not all the time. Sometimes, I mean, just sit outside and just breathe and just regroup,
Breathe. Oh my God.
Yes,
Yes. That is crucial. Just
pray. Yeah,
breathe.
pray, just all of that.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you were, like you say, you told your family, like you were open, you were communicating. Because a lot of times we don't know how to
Yes.
communicate. Look, y'all, I need to go somewhere. I need to go take a
Mm-mm.
break. Even on the floor, sometimes we're like, we have a million things going on. You're having a
Yes.
moment, like you're about to break down. You just kind of
Yes.
push through. So there are times to push through, and there are times that you have to speak up and be like, hey, hun, hey, coworker, hey, charge nurse, I need a moment. I need to go walk off. I
Yes.
need to
Let
go.
me just,
I need to go walk.
yes. Let me get a moment to get myself together. So,
Yes, yes. And that takes some communicating. That takes some opening up, some
mm-hmm.
self-awareness to speak up for what you need. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
awesome. And then when you have that time to recenter, when you have that time to reprogram,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're able to get that clarity. Like if you're stumped and you're like, okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna get in the float pool and just try to figure out what's next for me because I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's exactly what I did. I was just here, there, working everywhere. I was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. Yeah. So you need those moments. You need those break times to kind of like recenter, refocus, to get clearer on your purpose. And like I was sharing in the beginning, there was a time that I didn't feel like I had purpose in my life. Nursing was just something I did to pay the bills. And now that been more proactive, I'm tapping into my wellness, into my mental health journey. I feel like I'm getting clearer on my purpose. I feel like I'm getting closer to that path. I'm doing the things, I'm on the right path, but it can be overwhelming. It can feel like, okay, am I ever going to get there? Am I going to ever make time? Am I ever going to reach this success that I want? But like what I'm learning is like this is all part of it. Like this is all part of the process. This is all part of the
Yes.
purpose. Like everything we're experiencing is preparing us for what's next. And with that in mind, it kind of gives me some peace. It gives me that understanding, like you said too, being in the present,
Mm-hmm.
to be grateful for where I'm at, where I've come from,
Yes.
for then what's
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
always, yeah. It's the only way is up until you leave. That's it. Just
Yeah.
keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But
It's been a
go
journey.
gracefully. Yeah, but do it gracefully and take your time to enjoy the moments and acknowledge how you feel, like I said before.
Gracefully. We shared that word earlier in another podcast. Just giving yourself grace and the space
Yes.
to evolve, to change,
Hmm.
to
Yes.
pivot, to grow, to get things wrong, to feel
Yeah.
the feels,
Yes. Exactly.
but to never give up, to
Nope.
never give up, whatever that looks like. So I was sharing with you earlier, like I want to go back to school. But, I'm taking my time. I'm not going to put the pressure. When I put the pressure, that's when it feels overwhelming. That's when
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God, oh
overwhelming.
my God. Then I'm like, maybe this ain't the right time.
Yeah.
Maybe, but it's
You'll
going to happen.
know when you feel pressured and forced, and it's overwhelming to think about it. It's like,
Ooh,
maybe not right now. But then when you like, okay, I'm ready, I'm excited, I'm open, I'm ready to learn,
yeah.
that's kind of how you know. Because I
And
went
then
through
you
that too.
and then you're able to learn more that
Yes,
way when you come from that type of space. Yeah, for sure.
yes. Because I went through that before too with
Yeah.
deciding whether I should go back and, I was going to try earlier. And I just, like, mentally, I just went into space.
How did you know you were in the right space? I
When
know you
I
shared when it was like flowing and everything.
Yes, when things started to flow, it was just like the transition, it just seemed like it wasn't so forced. Like I
Mm,
wasn't overwhelmed about it. I wasn't It's like everything just kind of like the school was welcoming, the dean was welcoming. I had people like I ended up finding a space where I could go and do my project research, and
mm.
it was just like all of that I didn't see before. And that's how I knew, like, you know what, it's time.
Do you think it was because your mindset? Like, I hear you saying that, like, your mindset was different too.
Yes, it was different, totally different. Because like I said, I've been wanting to go, but I didn't know if I really wanted to go. Like I didn't know
Mm,
if I really want to even do it. Or why am I doing it? Is it really necessary? And then it's just like it's like my mind just was, I just knew, like I didn't feel anxious about it. Like, of course, you're
mm.
apprehensive, but I
Yeah,
wasn't anxious.
yeah. It wasn't, like, holding you back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I knew. And
So
then things started to feel.
that's awesome. I mean, a lot of times we don't talk about these things. You just show up and you're like, "Oh, I have a degree. I just graduated. I'm doing this new venture." We don't talk about those moments to get there. So I'm just curious as we're wrapping up, like any tips for anyone that is deciding whether or not they want to go back to school. Do they want to further their career? Do they want to do the entrepreneurship? Do they want to make the product? Like how yeah, any advice you would give to them?
I would say just, that's a good one. Just kind of do what feels right to you,
Mm,
because everybody's path is so different. And Susie path might not be like Betty's path, just, it's just different. So I just say, if you have an idea, you get that gut feeling, and it's something that you really thinking about, really passionate about with internally, maybe you having these thoughts for a reason. So maybe it might be time to explore and see where it
mm,
takes you.
yeah,
And
I love
then, and if it's something that could advance your career or advance what you're trying to do with your future endeavors, then I say go for it.
that. Yeah.
But learning is you never can not learn too much. It's just always room to learn things, whatever that is, even if it's not necessarily going back to get a degree, but getting a certification or getting, more training, different things like that. It's still learning, and it's still necessary to whatever path you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% because we're all growing. Like that's what this platform is about too. We are on a growth mindset. We are on a mindset where we want to learn, where we want to improve. That's what wellness is all about as well. Like
Yes.
living out that healthy every day. And that means growing and learning and adapting and being okay with change.
Yes.
And like you said, following what's best for you. I love that. What better words to end the podcast with today? Just finding what works for you, honoring your path. And if it aligns, you'll know, right? Like
Yes, you'll know. You'll definitely know.
yeah. And it's part of this mindfulness journey for sure. So I appreciate you, Dr. Keilah, for hopping on the podcast with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will make sure to link all of her links to our page so that you can follow, so you can support, so you can join Dr. Keilah in her journey as well, and maybe even grab some of her multivitamins for women's health. Super important. And I love that we were able to touch on that topic with women's health. And I just feel like it's more to come. Like it's just so much more to come. Like this is
it's so much
wonderful
more.
time.
Yes, ma'am.
I definitely feel it. I feel it. And I'm excited for you, and congratulations again to your new achievement. And
thank
here
you.
on the podcast, we are cheering you on for sure. And I hope to have you on again soon.
I hope so. It was a pleasure and I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Keilah, we'll talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Y'all, I loved that conversation with Dr. Keilah. Just everything, mindfulness, being intentional with your mental health, the way she shared with us her process, her progress, into becoming, this influential mental health expert. I'm just so in awe. I'm so inspired. And I just want to thank her for her time again, Dr. Keilah, for showing up with us and talking about purpose. Because like I said earlier, this is something that we may have all experienced in our nursing journey. And it's real. It's getting real out here, y'all. The stress, the emotional exhaustion, it's real. But you don't have to do this journey on your own. You can join us in the Nurse Wellness Initiative, in the Nurse Wellness Journey. Join my community online on the Facebook journey, on my Facebook group, on my Instagram. Please like, subscribe, share this podcast with another nurse. Invite her in to this wellness journey, y'all, because we need each other. And I hope these stories have been inspiring you as well. I want to hear from you. Send me a DM. What did you learn from Dr. Keilah's podcast interview today? Any insights, anything that stood out to you about this conversation? I want to hear from you. Send me a comment, DM me, let me know it's real. Are you along with us in this nurse wellness journey, y'all? It's been 2 real friends. I really appreciate you all for your time and joining us on the podcast, and I will see you next time. Bye.